You're in your 30s, 40s, maybe even your early 50s. You've got a business, a wife, and kids. You're doing everything right on paper, but deep down, like, you're exhausted, you're feeling burnt out. Your marriage has started to feel transactional. Your kids want you to put your phone down, and you can't even remember the last time you felt like yourself. You see, in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the core four. This is the exact operating system that I use with married businessmen to help them lead themselves first so they can actually lead their family. So you're gonna walk away with this knowing exactly where you are in each area with a grade and knowing exactly what needs to change. So let's get to work. Most of the men I work with, they're not lazy, right? They're not bad guys. They're actually just doing too much. They're showing up for everyone else. Like, if I had to guess, here you are. You have your wife. She's constantly looking for your attention, for you to show up as a present husband. You have your kids. They want a lot of your attention because they want you to be an active father. At the same time, you have this business piece in your life. Your ability to make money and provide the lifestyle, and then also competing for your attention is time for yourself. You're showing up for everyone else, and everyone gets a piece of you, but here's the problem. When you're operating like that, you're giving from an empty tank. You see, if you are doing this, you haven't taken care of yourself, if I had to guess, probably in years. You're constantly putting everybody above you. And the reality is, your wife can feel it. And she's not attracted to exhaustion. Like, it's not noble to wear busyness as a badge. She's not drawn to a man who's barely surviving. And I want to tell you, she didn't marry you because of your work ethic or your paycheck. She married you because of who you are. You see, I've spent the last several years coaching hundreds of men through this exact situation. I've done thousands of hours of one-on-one coaching, and I've been mentored by multiple multi-million-dollar coaches who have built massive empires. And I can tell you this, the pattern is always the same. You see, if I had to guess, you walk in through your door and your wife immediately gives you the look. It's the one of disconnection. She feels unseen, unsafe, unsecure, and you feel unappreciated. Like, you're out there busting your ass to make money, and you don't even get a thank you. In fact, all you ever get is the transactional talk. The conversation about the things that need to be done, the grocery pickups, the drop-offs, everything. And then you get frustrated. You get frustrated because there's always this conflict. There's always conflict between you and her. No matter what you do, she just won't follow. And the reality is, your wife isn't following you because you're not leading yourself. Not because she's difficult, not because she doesn't love you, but because biologically, she needs three things in order to follow you. Your wife needs to feel seen, she needs to feel safe, and she needs to feel secure in your marriage. If any one of those three is gone, there's no way that she's gonna follow you. So what do most men do? They try harder, right? I was convinced of this too, that if I just work more and make more money, that it's gonna solve my problems. So I push harder. You see, you think that if you just provide more, fix more, that it's gonna get better, but it doesn't. Because the problem isn't effort. The problem is you aren't a man of your word. The problem is you've neglected other areas of your life. The problem is you don't have an operating system that you can follow that makes you the man worth following by your wife. I know this because I lived it. You see, a few years ago, I had everything on paper. When you looked at my life from the outside in, it looked perfect. I had the house, I had the wife, I had the stacked bank account, I had the vacations, I had the experiences. My life on an Instagram reel was incredible. I was doing everything that I was supposed to do as a man, but inside I was dying. I was exhausted. I was disconnected, not just from my relationship, but from myself. And at that point, my marriage was falling apart. My relationship with her was surface level. My relationship with my kids was me just being the best I could be, but they were getting a shell of myself. In fact, I came home in building this life, I actually started to become a version of me that I didn't even recognize. I was irritable. I was reactive. I was constantly trying to force my life to get things to work. And honestly, I didn't even recognize myself anymore because all of these things started to steal from me. My wife could sense it. Like, she started pulling away. And one day in this exact kitchen, she looked at me and said something that shattered me. I fucking hate you. And I hate this relationship. And you see, that was the thing that broke me. Because deep down, even though I got defensive and I wanted to fight back and I heard her, but I couldn't hear her, I knew that she was right. The reality is I didn't know who I had become either. I wasn't just trying to build a business. I was actually just surviving. I was reacting. I was trying to cover up all of my insecurities by making more money or winning more awards or being in the forefront and getting more attention. And a lot of times I was just trying to make it through the day. Yeah, I had built this successful career, but I was failing as a husband. I was a professional success, but I was a personal failure as a father, as a friend, as a son, and as a man. So I did what most men do. I neglected it. I had convinced myself that if I just kept going, things were going to get better, but they didn't. And it got to a spot where I knew I had to get help. So what did I do? I hired a coach. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in myself. And I had to look at my mentors because they had built multiple business, but they also had this thriving marriage. And for me, these two things were always these opposing forces. It was either I could have a successful business, and this is a key word here, successful business, or I could have a great marriage. I could not see a path to creating both of these. And there was just no way. So what did I have to do? I had to get other people into my life so I could learn from them. So I started investing in myself when I didn't even think that I had the money or time to do it. I just knew something had to change. And the moment I started to have a mentor in my life and I could start to see things differently, it started to change my perspective. What I once thought was impossible in the way that I saw the world then allowed me to get into somebody else's life, and it expanded my vision so I could see what was actually possible. See, I didn't have a foundation. I didn't have standards. I didn't have an operating system. I wasn't really holding myself to anything. I was just kind of winging it. And you can't lead your family when you're constantly winging your own life. And that's when I started to install this new operating system into my life. And it's called the Core Four. You see, the Core Four, these are the 4 areas. You see, the Core Four gives a man visibility into the 4 most important pieces of his life. This is what's going to allow him to lead himself and master himself so that he can lead his family. The Core Four is broken up into 4 different sections. You have your body, which is your fitness and how you're taking in food. You have your being, which is your spirituality, your connection to yourself and your connection to God. You have your balance domain, which is your relationships with your wife, your kids, your friends, and your family. And then you also have your business, the thing that's going to fuel it all and how you make your money. This is the exact system that I've taught hundreds of businessmen. This is how they've shifted their life. And every single man who's implemented this, 100% of the time, it works. Here's what you need to understand, brother. Like self-leadership, it's the requirement. It's not even optional. It's not a nice to have, something that you think about, something that you talk about. It's an actual requirement. You see, your wife, she doesn't need you to be perfect, but she does need you to have a solid foundation. She needs to know that when life gets hard, when shit hits the fan, you're not gonna crumble. She needs to feel like you've got yourself handled so that she can relax into her feminine energy. See, weak men create strong women. You force your wife to be strong because you're not showing up as the man that you need to be. But strong men create powerful women. That's when you see this feminine, flirtatious woman that you fell in love with. The reality is, you can't give what you don't have. And if you're not leading yourself, if you don't have discipline in your body, integrity in your character, and presence in your relationships, and purpose in your work, like you have nothing to offer. You're just gonna constantly be in this space with your wife where she doesn't know if she can trust you. So she's gonna constantly have her guard up. That's why when you walk into the door, you're constantly met with resistance. That's when you don't honor what you say you're going to do, this turns into a fight. She's not actually fighting you. She's actually fighting to get seen. She wants to know that she can trust you. And the only way she steps back and starts to follow you is if you can start following your own standard first. So we've talked about the Core Four, and now I'm gonna show you these 4 areas on a deeper level. Like we're gonna expand this, but I'm gonna keep this as simple as possible. When we look at the Core Four, it's gonna be broken up into 4 different domains. Right? This first domain is gonna be your body, right? This is your physical health, your energy, your discipline. Like if you can't control your body, you can't control anything else. This is sleep, nutrition, movement. This is the basic stuff. But most men are destroying their bodies and then they wonder why they feel like shit. You see, your body is a game of one-on-one. It's the foundation. And if this is broken, right, everything else is gonna suffer. So the real question is, are you taking care of this or are you destroying it? Are you treating it like the stewardship that you're supposed to take care of it, or are you just completely neglecting it? The second domain is going to be your spiritual component. your being domain, right? This is your spiritual life, your character, your connection to yourself, your integrity, right? This is who you are when nobody else is watching. This is your relationship with God, with yourself, with your values. The real question is, do you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, or are you constantly lying to yourself? You have to understand, your wife is watching, your kids are watching, and they can tell when you're full of shit. See, this is about becoming the man that you say you want to be. This is about you living in integrity, being the spiritual leader of your home. The third domain is going to be balance. This is your relationships with your wife, your kids, your friends, your family. Like, you can win at business and lose at home, but that's not winning. That's a complete failure. The real question is, are you being present with your wife? Or are you just constantly on your cell phone scrolling while she's trying to have a conversation with you? Are you emotionally available? Or are you just suppressing everything and she can't even talk to you because you feel cold? Or are you just a paycheck with a pulse? Yeah, you're providing the lifestyle, the home, the cars, everything that you think is going to make her happy, but she doesn't even feel connected to it. You see, your family doesn't need your money as much as they need you. Fully present, fully engaged, not distracted, not exhausted. They actually need you there. This is a domain that most men neglect, and they don't even mean to, because this is why they built their fourth domain, which is their business. This is the money, your work, your money, your legacy, your value creation. You see, you need resources to protect and provide, and that's a real thing. I understand that, but it can't come at the cost of everything else. Like, are you building something meaningful, or are you just trading time for money and then hating your life? Like, if your business is stealing your soul or connection to your kids or the precious moments, like, is it really worth it? Are you constantly just putting your own health and sacrificing it just for the sake of another dollar, some more success? See, this is about really creating value in the world, building something that you're excited about, not just making money for the sake of making money. Getting awareness on all of these is critical. And that's the next stage of this game that we're going to talk about. Now, here's what most men get wrong. They think they can just master one of these and then ignore the others. And I did that for a really long time. You see, like most men, I solely focused on the one thing that was easy for me, my business. You see, my real estate business at the time, I was making anywhere above $750,000 a year. I think at the most that I ever made in 1 year, I made $960,000 in commissions. And while my bank account was stacking, there's also a piece of this business where I was just a money whore. I was chasing the next win, the next success, the next client, because I was constantly just trying to feed this game that I was playing. It's really wild how the thing that you don't have as a kid, you put on a pedestal. See, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. So the moment that it started to come in, this became the thing that I idolized. But in idolizing that, a lot of the other parts of my life started to fall apart. You see, one of the biggest things that fell apart was my business. And at 35 years old, I had a heart attack. And this heart attack had me in the hospital for multiple reasons. One, the stress of my marriage was so high. Actually, it was my engagement, was so high that it created so much stress and pressure in my chest, along with a full commission job, that I didn't even know how to handle all of it. And I went to the VA hospital and they told me it was anxiety, but that I hadn't been neglecting my body for so long. I would take melatonin to go to bed, and then I would wake up and I would take Adderall and caffeine to stay awake. And I was constantly just burning the candle at both ends, chasing business. Yes, I was working out, but I wasn't fueling my body. And then you would get to the weekends and all of a sudden it was time to have drinks and going out. And I was neglecting the one thing that God gave me to take care of, which was my body. And the moment I started to have this heart attack and things were falling apart and I started to have fear, my business started to struggle financially. Inevitably, that led to even more stress and more pressure in my marriage. You see, I told you earlier about the fight that I had in this kitchen with my wife when she told me that she fucking hated me and she hated this relationship. See, that wasn't just a one-time thing. After my son was born, I repeated the same mistake. My wife became a stay-at-home mom, which meant we were gonna miss out on $140,000 in income. And we weren't gonna have health benefits. And because I didn't have this connection with my wife and this vision for what I wanted in my marriage, inevitably I went back to old patterns. I started chasing money again because I was operating from a place of fear. And that led her to feeling completely abandoned in our marriage. On the flip side of that, this connection to God was inexistent. My wins were my wins. But when I was in the gutter, sitting in that hospital bed, you better believe I was praying to God, asking for help. I didn't even know who I was praying to. Right? The reality is I didn't have a connection to myself, which meant I was self-sabotaging and I was self-isolating and I was betraying myself. And every time I betrayed myself, I was telling myself that I wasn't worthy. And inevitably that would bleed into my marriage and into my business. And the whole thing started to slowly fall apart. But here's what happens on the flip side. The moment that I started to install this into my life, everything started to change. You see, if we were just to take this, if this was 2021, And we were to fast forward to today. And I was gonna show you my body, my being, my balance, and my business. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm at 175 pounds and 9% body fat. Why is that important? Because body became one of my focuses. And I'll tell you this, the confidence and certainty that I came and the commitments that it takes every single day to get here, along with me going out on my mountain bike and snowboarding and doing a lot of things for my body and taking care of myself, it's given me this energy that I never had when I was actually doing nothing. The second piece of this was my being domain. I started making a focus in reading the Bible every single morning. I'm not saying you need to read the Bible or believe in God, but that's what I do. And there was this connection and this peace that started to enter into my life. You see, the more that I realized that I wasn't in control, and the more that I started to let go, and the more that I started to meditate and journal, which is a big piece of this being domain, the more peace that I found. And the more peace that I found and the more connection to myself that I found, I started being less defensive and less reactive in my balance domain with my wife and with my children. I could be present with them. I wasn't constantly getting sucked into text message or Slack notifications or emails. I was actually with them. And the funniest thing happens, you see, when you're grounded and when you're composed in who you are, and you've taken care of your body and your home is no longer in chaos because you're actually leading it and your wife is following you and your kids look up to you, the wildest thing happens. Your business grows at such a wild rate. You'll make more money with less work. You see, the Core 4 is an operating system that once you install it and you make it a priority, it becomes the thing that allows you to take your life from this place of being good to collapsing time and making it elite. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to rate yourself. I'll score 1 to 10, 10 being the best in each one of these areas. Like when you look at your body, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about your workout routines? How do you feel about the way that you look? How do you feel about the way that you eat? How do you feel like with your joints? Like your health? Like what do you know about yourself? Like your internal system, your heart, your blood work? Like where are you at? The second one is your being domain. When you look in this place, how is your relationship with yourself? How's your relationship to meditation and to journaling? How is your relationship with God and your creator? Do you feel like you're forcing it or are you actually in flow with life? The next one's gonna be your balance domain. Like when you look at your intimacy with your wife, when you look at the sex with your life, when you look at communication with your wife, like where are you at? And then lastly, in leadership, how do you feel like you're leading your children and your family? And then the fourth one is business. How are you at making money? How are you at growing money? How are you at keeping money? And how are you at protecting money to ensure that when you pass away, it actually gets brought down to your wife and to your kids and to whoever else is going to need it? And I want you to be brutally honest about this. You can't bullshit yourself. See, I created a free assessment that's gonna walk you through all of this. It's gonna take 5-10 minutes. And the link is gonna be in the description. I'm gonna show you exactly where you need to focus. But you're gonna have to be honest with yourself. You're gonna have to tell yourself the truth about where you're at, where you've been neglecting. At the same time, where you're doing well. Because the reality is like your life isn't complete garbage. You have to honor the good things and recognize this and lean into it. And you have to be honest with yourself about what's not working. And if this hit you and you felt this, I want you to subscribe to this channel. See, I'm gonna continue breaking down each of these pillars in future videos. I'm gonna provide additional content and framework that's gonna help you become the man that you know that you can be. See, this is for men who are done making excuses and who are ready to raise their standard and lead themselves so that they can lead their families. And if you're not ready yet, that's cool. Just keep watching. And I'll see you on the next one. But if you are, I'll see you on the other side.